We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Guys, in today's episode, what is the role of content in a real estate company managing over $350 million in assets?
So much money.
That is a lot.
So many assets.
That's right.
So many people. I love it. Guys. Before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. And remember to follow us on social media at BizBrosGo everywhere.
And if you find this episode impactful, which I'm sure you will, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
Awesome, guys. So today we're in for a treat. We're going to be talking to not only a savvy businessman, but a good friend of ours. He spends his days helping run a real estate company that manages over $350 million in assets. Mind-blowing.
Fun fact, today's guest has made the company's podcast, Not Your Average Investor Show, a still piece of their marketing strategy, and the results have been FUEGO, or what today's pop culture would define as lit. We'll definitely talk a bit more about this.
He's a co-founder of Jacksonville's Wealth Builders, 9-time honoree of Inc. 500 and 5,000 fastest growing companies in the US, 7-time winner of Best Places to Work award. We can confirm this. I mean, people love working there and they serve some amazing lunches.
Yes.
Not only that, but through their nonprofit, they've raised over $350,000 for the Jacksonville community.
Impressive, guys.
Very impressive.
Please welcome co-founder of JWB, real estate mastermind, and host of Not Your Average Investor Show, Mr. Gregg Cohen! Hey, welcome, Gregg. We are so excited to have you here. I even matched with you today.
Yes.
I knew it.
You guys are connected.
Oh, man. I knew we were all connected before, but now we're just taking it to a whole new level.
That's it.
I woke up and I had this, 7 different choices of color of this t-shirt. And I was like, I feel Gregg is going to pick the light blue today. So I grabbed that one.
Done
Got
it.
Fonzie.
Gregg, we're so honored to have you here on the show. Wow. I mean, it's been a complete pleasure, working with you and your company and your team. And now to have you on the show, that's just like the cream, the amazing like Nutella that you put on top of the delicious
Nutella and the ice cream.
I do.
I need to check your dietary needs over here.
It's so good. So yeah,
You
great.
and my 6-year-old, man. Luis, you and my 6-year-old. You're on the same wavelength, man. The Nutella on the whipped cream, man. There you go.
It's delicious. We'll let the audience vote. So if you're listening right now or watching, just put hashtag Nutella, send us a message, and we'll get to this.
Just send the Nutella.
Just send the Nutella to the office. Yeah, dude, Gregg. Well, for the audience, right? Because obviously, we've been interacting here and there, but for the audience, who's Gregg, and what do you do now? We mentioned all these amazing awards, but where these all started?
Well, first of all, guys, I have done a few podcasts in my day. I have never been so excited because of an intro in my entire life. This is incredible. I mean, and it's indicative of you guys. Ever since I have got to know you guys, you've done everything top notch. It's been fun. It's been personable. It's been genuine. And man, I'm stoked, man. I'm really excited that you guys are having me here. So,
thank you.
Who am I? So, I started JWB Real Estate Capital back in 2006. I started with my friend, is business partner. I now have 2 additional business partners in the beginning. We were a bunch of guys who I happened to work in corporate America before starting JWB, and I just was utterly unimpressed and disappointed and disillusioned and depressed when it came to my former corporate career. And, it was something that I really thought was going to be the path that I was on. Worked for a company. That's what brought me here to Jacksonville, and within a year and a half, just realized it wasn't for me. And so if you've ever heard of somebody following a late-night infomercial and scaring the hell out of their parents and all of their friends and their family because they left a pretty good job to go out and do something that everybody told them they were crazy, that was me in the beginning. And, that was 15 years ago. And through those years, we've been really blessed to have great mentors. We've been blessed with an ability to not have a fear of failure, and it really allowed us to go out there and fall on our face many times and get right back up, and been blessed to surround ourselves with an incredible team, incredible, marketing partners like you guys. I mean, it's just the people that we have in our network have really helped make JWB what it is. So what we do in a nutshell is people come to us and they want to invest in real estate, but they either don't live in the right market, or they're too busy, or they just don't have experience, and we make the whole process very easy for them.
Yeah.
We help them build a portfolio of rental properties, and we do all the property management for them. And it's been a 15-year journey so far, and I've never had more fun than I'm having right now. So it's been a wild ride.
I want to mention that we met your co-founders, and they are awesome as well. You guys have this chemistry, right? When you guys are together, I remember when we were filming the episodes, and it's still I would assume it is still 15 years ago, pre-huge company. You guys are still having fun at the end of it, which is pretty cool. And, I'm pretty curious. You said that you weren't happy in your previous corporate job, the press, all that negative stuff. Do you think that influenced the workspace that you have right now? I mean, winning a bunch of awards for best place to work?
Absolutely. I look back on that experience, and I had a terrible manager, and pretty much if you could name it, it went wrong for being a kid fresh out of college. And at that point, it was really hard for me to go through. But I look back, and now it's easy for me to look back. For many years, it was tough. But I look back on it now, and I think, wow, what a blessing, right? Everything happens to you for a reason, and those obstacles that you have are really just opportunities in disguise. And I look back, and there is so much about what JWB is and why we're successful comes back to our culture. And so much of our culture is me and my partners in the beginning saying, hey, let's do what the opposite is of what Greg experienced at his former job, right? Or let's manage people differently than Greg was managed, or Alex was managed, or my other two business partners are how Adams were managed, right? So I think even if you had a wonderful management experience, that is a great blessing, but there's also a blessing in having an absolutely horrible one when you're in your formative, career years, because it points out what's important to you, and you have the time to manifest it.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you bring that point. And, lately in the show, we've talked a lot about perspective, right? And you say, the horrible experience can also be a blessing. And I choose it for that to be a blessing, and now you turn that, and now your company, I think, is 80 plus employees, right? You have these amazing meetings, and through this pandemic, you guys were able to also keep that momentum with the company, with the employees, and all this culture. And I feel like this is wonderful, because so many other people out there, so many other companies are struggling to get into that. And a lot of people ask us, it's two of you. How, what's that dynamic look like? And you are four partners, four business partners, and it's Pablo, the other co-host, for the four-headed monster. How do you guys deal with running a company of this size, provide so much value? What are some of the key points that you guys tackle on an everyday basis?
Yeah, you bring up how rare it is for there to be a four-headed monster when it comes to running a company. And, my title is Chief Marketing Officer. We all have titles. There's Adam as the CEO. We have another Adam, the CFO, and Alex is our president. But if you ask any one of us who really is the decision maker, it's all four of us. We've really adopted this belief that we are better suited as making consensus decisions. And consensus is something we really had to learn. When we first started this process of, running this company, we were very much of a decision-making body by vote. So, if I liked my idea, and, at one point it was just three of us, and it made it easy for 2 versus 1, and we just went with that. What we saw over time is that kind of gives people, a break in a sense, right? It's much harder for me to have consensus decision-making and fully support another idea, even if it's not my own idea. Yeah. It's much easier for me to go down in a pit of flames, because I said it was my idea. And ultimately what we found is that either consciously or subconsciously, that sabotages the direction that you're going. And there's nothing more important. We feel like when the four of us are fully in and moving forward in a direction, there's nothing we can't accomplish. And so in order to do that, we have to have this insane amount of humility. It is so hard as, guys who've had a level of success to have the idea that is right, and then you go into that business meeting and you decide that you're going to go with a different idea, and to give your full support to it is a skill. It's an exercise. It's a muscle that needs to be, exercised. And so consensus decision making is crucial for us, as opposed to voting, and kind of keeping that, keeping your idea to yourself, or at least trying to be right, even if the overall plan fails. Consensus is a requirement for us. And in order to have consensus decision making after 15 years of doing this with 4 stubborn guys, it's a sense of humility that we try very hard to work at every single day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's an awesome lesson right there. Leave your ego aside, and sometimes we're not gonna have the best ideas, and it's totally okay to accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just wanted to bring that idea to kind of maybe the audience, right? Because if you're listening right now, you might have a team, you might have a content team, you might have different people all around the world, especially now that we work digitally, right? So it's very important to do this. And, we've lived it with a lot of the companies that we work with. It's that same idea of consensus. Hey, what's the game plan? It's not that your idea is better, but it's like, how can we come up together so the best of everything can just flow to the top, and make sure that we can reach more people, or communicate better, or add more value. So for you guys listening, apply that to your company, right? And it happens to us every single time. Fonzie normally has the best ideas, and then I come with these crappy ideas, and then we have to agree on something, and it's normally what Fonzie says. So it is what it is.
We actually decide our ideas through fencing battle.
Yeah.
Regular,
No, jokes aside.
Whatever works.
Whatever works, yeah. No, but jokes aside, I mean, we even, as soon as we heard these guys talk, on the Not Your Average Investor show, which, by the way, we're going to link it below so you guys can check it out because it's amazing. We're like, oh my God, Fonzie, we have to do this. We have to take notes and actually implement what these guys have done over 15 years of experience. So you listening, guys, pay attention, please, because it's so much value.
Yeah. And, you mentioned this is a full transition from what we're talking right now, but you mentioned your title is the CMO, right? Mm. And that's actually how we met you, right? Pablo, that guys, go check him out. He was actually the first guest that we brought to the podcast.
Show, yeah.
So Pablo brought us to you, right? And I'm curious because I would love to hear from your perspective. I don't know if I actually heard it from you. What were you doing pre Not Your Average Investor show? What was it like as the CMO then? And what is the role that content has played now in your business?
Oh man, you're taking me back to some pretty dark days as far as our marketing efforts. I think we've always done an okay job when it comes to marketing and kind of speaking our truth and being authentic. That's always been something that's been important to me. Yeah. And about, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I said, let's start on this journey of producing more content, going on social media, creating some sort of a following. And I did, I think, everything that you could do wrong in the beginning. And it was stressing me out, man. It was stressing me out. It was not just stressing me out. It was stressing my team out. I mean, it was to the point where, I just didn't have a strategy, and I didn't have a set way of doing things, and I didn't have a way to basically kind of, take whatever I was doing and distribute it and cut it up and get as much traction with every piece of content as we do now. And so what that forced me to do was to keep my phone on me at all times and every single day. And my team, whenever they would see me, they started just to run away from me because I was so starved for content and I didn't have a strategy that I would just pull my phone and just put anybody on Facebook Live, which was cool for the first week, but then it's really started to piss people off in my audience. I mean, not my audience, in my team. Yeah. And at the end of the day, for me, it created a lot of stress because I just didn't have enough time in the day to be able to do everything I wanted to do. And so, that's where I came in contact with Pablo. who put me in contact with you guys, and collectively, you guys have made this a reality for me. And we're probably about I don't know, maybe 8-9 months into our working relationship, I would imagine, at this point. And so I remember a year ago where I was, and we were doing about the same amount of content, but I was probably spending an additional 30 hours a week, either.
Wow.
Doing
it.
It got cut off a little bit.
We lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, a year ago, I was probably spending an additional 30 hours a week putting the content together. And I just didn't have that time. So it was running me ragged. I don't think I would have continued to do what we're doing had I not met you guys and had we not formed the show. And by you guys showing me the light of how this can really be done, it unlocked this incredible opportunity for us from a marketing and sales perspective. And the biggest win is that I'm having a ball. I'm having an absolute blast, running the show. And I've never thought of myself as somebody who would be running a show on social and having 100 people show up a week who are getting a ton of value. And so it's been a huge win. I'm so thankful that I was put in contact with you guys and that you guys have really run with this for me. It's been amazing.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Those words mean a lot to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so we're probably gonna chop this part right here and run ads to this part. But no, jokes aside, I think what the strategy that you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic, right? For those listening, what is that strategy that you guys are doing? And what has been the change besides you personally, right? Like those 30 hours and now you have to do other things. Mm-hmm. What has been that result inside of the company?
What's been the result inside of the company?
Yeah, and what is the strategy so people that are listening, they are like, maybe that can work for my company as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we really kind of focused on what our cornerstone of our content was going to be. And then for us, that became the show. So the Not Your Average Investor show became the thing that we were going to have as our cornerstone. Initially, we were going to have one episode a week on Thursdays. And what we found is that there was enough demand for us to have 2 shows a week. So now we go live with the show every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30. And now everything from those episodes becomes additional content that is really managed by your team. And Pablo, of course, is a huge part of this as well. But, instead of that 30 hours a week of me running around trying to create content and bring this authentic kind of feel for who JWB is, now it's focused on a very well-produced show. Pablo's our host of the show, and he does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to preparing the show, the content for the show, of what we're going to speak about, the research. He lines up our guests, and just the AV stuff is done for me. So I can just show up and just be the expert who's talking about rental properties and not the expert in AV and the networking guy who has to get all the guests and the guy who's doing all of the research to make this all happen. So the cornerstone is the show, and then we surrounded that with the community of the Facebook group. And I do spend a lot of time in that Facebook group just making sure that I'm providing value, but that's in between the rest of my day. And that is not me having to spend an hour having to figure out how I'm going to relay some topic and do a 40-minute webinar by myself, which is what I used to do.
I remember that webinar, just the first one that I saw, that you could see the reflection on the window.
You love that one, huh?
Yeah, that it looked like you were talking to a crowd, but the reflection is like, wait, there's like nobody sitting in there.
If I could be successful doing this, you all could be successful out there. So I'll tell you what.
Look, and Greg, you mentioned so awesome points here, and you see it, right? Like, we're passionate about this thing, and the fact that we found you because you guys were also super forward in what you guys wanted to try out, and we're not scared to try new things. And look at this beautiful thing. I mean, you say you're having a blast, and again, it doesn't have to be this exact strategy when we talk about content, but at the same time, you're supposed to have fun. Like, you're talking talking to people like they're supposed to, and you're averaging 100 people a show, right? And this is people live asking you questions, like creating a relationship with you. And it's funny because when we talk about you guys, we're like, these guys literally are selling real estate through content. And it's a relationship, because at the end of the day, that's a very niche audience that's coming to you guys with very specific questions, and you guys were able to turn this around, and then that content, it gets repurposed for a high level kind of top of funnel strategy, which is amazing. So I promise you guys, if Gregg right here has the time to do this and he is having a blast, I encourage everybody to kind of try this out. And we talk a lot about resources and capacity, right? So before you had the big resources, right, and you thought you had the capacity, but you were like trying to operate with both until somebody came with like, hey, let's pause, let's study, like let's adapt a strategy that works. And how does that relate with you and your work environment, right? Because I'm sure for every other piece of the company, you guys had systems, you guys have resources that you tap into to make it more effective. Why was that not happening through content before?
Well, I think it starts with me not figuring it out before and kind of running around with like a chicken with my head cut off for a long time. I just think that, the social thing really intimidated me in the beginning. Pretty much all aspects of it intimidated me. I'm not the guy who I thought would be on camera every single day, either in the Facebook group or on the show or whatnot. I'm just not that guy, so I was intimidated to do that. I was worried about people making, saying I look weird or, having, I just didn't feel comfortable being in front of camera. I didn't feel comfortable, sharing my thoughts, to be quite honest. Even though I had 15 years of experience in this, I think a lot of people out there, you might be the expert, but you're just, kind of taking a stand and sharing your beliefs. It's like a muscle that needs to be exercised, even if you know what you know. And so I wasn't comfortable doing that in the beginning. And then just looking at like some of these people on social and seeing how successful they are and the amount of content that they had was just daunting. And I felt like it was impossible. I just didn't understand how this whole thing could work. And so it was really stressful for me for many, many months. It was funny. I would sit down and I would just try to create like a mind map of how this thing was going to work. And if you've ever sat down and tried to mind map something for 3 hours and all you did was write 3 bubbles, on your mind map, and you're like, I just don't get what the 4th bubble is going to go. And I mean, that's kind of what it was like in some of the darker days of trying to make this transition. Yeah. So why we do some of the other things that other parts of our department or other departments had done, I just think this was a whole new animal that I just really was intimidated and I didn't know where to start. Yeah. And what I learned is that I don't need to figure this out all by myself. I just need to build the right relationships. And everything started to go into motion when we put our power team together of me and Kate, who runs a lot of our marketing on our team, who I know you guys know and love. You guys, Pablo and Cody, that we all kind of formed this really wonderful partnership where we all had some incredible skills and talents that we could bring, and the greater sum has become what this marketing and sales channel is now. And the results are staggering. Our online sales are up. Basically, we've doubled since a year ago till now. Online sales, just specifically coming through our website. And that's not just from new leads coming in, which the new leads have increased dramatically. What I've seen the most is that those people that were already in our database that had just been kind of waiting to kind of engage with us, those people have seen a higher conversion ratio. Wow. We're able to track everybody who's attended one of our shows and see what the relationship is between those people closing, and it's so much higher. Wow. And we're able to see repeat sales. Repeat sales are just going so much higher now as well. So, initially I was like, oh man, I need to drive so many leads from this in order to justify it. But I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing additional leads are great, but the real justification is kind of engaging with that list that we already know and had that really just hadn't opened up a window into who we are. in the past, and now we have it.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah,
What an amazing story.
That
Thank
makes
you.
my heart like
Yeah.
so happy just because like we're dealing with human beings, right? And so many people focus on like those like new people, new leads. And then what happens to the ones that we already have here? Like, are we developing relationships, right? Especially with a purchase, like the ones that you guys are trying to push out there, right? Is those points of contact. So thank you for bringing the relationship back into, you know, the real estate market. And what you guys are doing is really wonderful. We've really seen that, you know, not just the numbers go up, but just you guys feel like so happy, just like no more stress, which is awesome. So I guess we gotta land this plane.
Yeah.
We could just talk about this all day.
Before we land this plane, I just want to kind of like touch base on this point that you made. And these are for people that are watching that are maybe dabbling whether to create content or not. You said it's a muscle that needs to be exercised, that you would look at other people, you know, and you'd be overwhelmed. You didn't know exactly how they were doing it. And at first you were afraid of putting your ideas out there too, that you never saw yourself like you were supposed to be, you know, in front of a camera. And now look at yourself, right? Twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, running your own show. So again, it's a muscle, guys. You got to get in front of the camera and get comfortable sharing your message. There is people that are not gonna like what you're saying, and that is totally normal. They're not gonna agree, that is totally normal, but there are people that are gonna love you for it, for sharing your message, and those are the people that are gonna connect with you, and hopefully they're gonna do business with you.
Yeah.
Totally agree, guys. Thank you for showing me the light.
Awesome. No, thank you for like going with the whole content
Hey,
wave.
just so you know, we have learned so much from you guys taking action and doing this, that we have been like, dude, we need to implement that stuff for ourselves
Internally.
as well. Like, we didn't have a podcast when you guys created your show, right? And they were like, dude, like, we're seeing the results here. And some
Let's
other
do
of
it
our clients, like,
Let's do it.
it's just a no-brainer. Let's just do our own podcast.
We don't say no very often over here, right? I mean, you know, if there's something to be tried that we may fail at, that's one of our big things. We're going to give it a shot. So glad we could be of service to you guys.
That's amazing. I mean, that's one of the most important things. You know, we see so many people at the beginning stages trying to like get this thing out of the gate. Not only with like our clients, but like just people trying to figure out on themselves, and they put like their limiting beliefs in front of them. They're like, no, I don't want to try these new things. I don't want to try this and that. And it's heartbreaking, right? Because like the sooner that you try this thing, you can learn from it. You know, you spoke about it earlier, you know, not having that fear of failure, or like it's been a journey, right? It's been 15 years, and you know, it's not overnight. We have to like learn a lot. So with that segue, like what is a quick action point? It doesn't have to be like directed to content, but what is an action point that somebody in that position, like starting to like get this ball rolling, they could implement today to get a positive result later on?
Specifically for marketing, social content.
It could be mindset. It could be on the entrepreneurial, you know, side of things.
Yeah.
It could be very general if you want.
You know, I think back to when we started, and I just think that we had this like wonderful carousel going on in the beginning. And the carousel was, we were so eager to learn about this real estate thing. We were so naive that we didn't know what we didn't know, and it didn't stop us from going out there and trying to network and try to take whoever we could out to lunch and just ask questions, and hopefully they weren't dumb questions, but you know, we asked a lot of those as well. And but it was just this carousel of, it started with just being eager to try to soak in as much knowledge as we could, and we were very quick to go and try and implement. And that kind of carousel of soaking in knowledge and then putting into action, and quick action, speed of implementation, was so important for us. And then the next step on the carousel is to learn from it. And most of the time, not great things happen, right? We didn't sell the house, or we didn't, you know, do whatever we didn't buy the house, we didn't manage the house correctly, whatever it was. But the real value was learning. And so we just got on that carousel. And I think it takes, you know, a lack of ego, like we talked about early on, you know, not being afraid to fail. I think those are some of the best attributes that we have been blessed with. And I think that's really the game plan for a young entrepreneur, is get out there, try to learn from those who have done it before, and then put it into action. It doesn't matter if you make that sale or if you accomplish whatever that task is or not. The value is the learning lesson, and then going right back to those mentors and then trying again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We're
Yeah,
definitely
thank you.
implementing it. We've seen the results. Guys, if you're listening, please, like, if you're here, you're serious. You want to do these things. So listen to Gregg, especially go listen to the Not Your Average Investor show if you want to invest in real estate. They're like the best of the best. And last question here. This is the big one, Gregg. You ready?
I'm ready.
Where would you be if you did not publish?
Where would I be if I did not publish any content?
Yep.
Yes.
I would either be a basket case because I'd be running around with my phone, just pissing my whole team off, trying to figure out how to get some content because I would run out of ideas myself. So I'd either be a basket case and just pissing people off, or I would have given up and I would have gone back to traditional marketing methodologies that are way too inefficient, way too costly in my opinion, and not scalable. And so I think our whole business would have been at a greater risk if I hadn't started publishing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
For your honesty. We appreciate it. Dude, Gregg, this has been awesome. Where can people find you? Where can people learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, so the first thing, I'd invite you to check out the show, the Not Your Average Investor Show. You can check it out at notyouravageinvestorshow.com. You can also join our Facebook group and see what we're all about as far as our social media presence. You can go to jwbfacebookgroup.com and hope to see you guys there.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. We encourage you to do that. Go do it right now.
I just full disclosure, I had no idea about real estate, like zero, and I can comfortably have a conversation now, at least. And I told my wife already, we need to be part of that investor list already. Like we have to be a Not Your Average Investor with JWB. So, Gregg, we're coming your way.
Love.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Don't leave us yet. We have to say bye to the Facebook audience. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for being with us in the Content Profit Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media at BizBrosCo.
And if you found this episode impactful, which I'm sure you did, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
See you later.